Hari Om. Om Sadashiva-samarambham Shankaracharya-madhyamam Asmadacharya-paryantam Vande Guru-paramparam Shruti-smriti-purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad-padam Shankaram Loka-shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dayakaram Dayakaram Dantan Dharma Pravartakam Pranamami Dayanandam Madacharya Varam Param. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste to all. So we're seeing the concluding verses of Pañcadaśī chapter 1. And here Vidyaranya is talking about the topic of Nididhyasanam. So we saw what was meant by Shravanam and what was meant by Mananam. And he splits Nididhyasanam, which is the removal of errors. So removal of errors, repeated identification with the body-mind sense complex. That's the main error that everybody commits. So he said it is of two types, the removal of errors. The first is actually maintaining the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, maintaining the purity of mind through regular practices, yoga, all of this, even the values, bringing in all of these practices into our life, living very alertly. He said that's the first type of nididhyasanam. It's interesting, when he talks about nididhyasanam, removing errors. So Swamiji used to say these values that we see, big lists in different books, they are actually our essential nature. When we go away from the values, that is when we are leaving our true nature, because amanitvam, adambitvam, all of these values are what I am in essence, because they are a manifestation of the purity that I was born with. Only thing during my life, this rajas, we saw the gunas, the rajas and tamas, more of that aspect has come and kind of soiled the sattva guna of the mind. So living an alert life helps me to maintain that sattva guna of the mind. So the first aspect of nididhyasanam is being alert to what I think, to what I speak, and to what I do as well. Not easy, because as I said, many times we live quite mechanically in life. We're not aware of things that we do, and sometimes impulsively. As we saw in the retreat, impulsive living, mechanical living are not conducive for, again, this purification, the mental purification that is required. So anyway, this is the first aspect of nididhyasanam, Removing error means removing all that dirt that doesn't belong to us, the mind, mental dirt. Just as I clean my room, hopefully I clean my room. Just as I clean my room very well, I have to clean the room of my mind. And this is a daily cleaning because we gather a lot of dust due to our experiences in the external world. And I cannot also sweep the dust under the carpet. There is a saying in English, sweeping the dust under the carpet, because you think it's hidden. Now, when you sweep the dust under the carpet, one day or other, it is going to show up. That is like, storing everything in the unconscious. That is also dust. And one day it does come up. So I don't do that, nor do I neglect the mind. I make efforts to clean the mind on a daily basis. What is our daily cleaning of mind? Well, keeping a journal. Journaling is fantastic. What triggered me today? What, push my buttons? How did I react? Watching our reactions. And again, trying to make efforts not to react in the similar way and not beating ourselves up if we do react in the similar way. All of this is cleaning the mind to keep it clean. So that is part of Nididhyasanam actually process. And the second aspect we saw is dwelling upon the Shastra, the words. Words as aham nirgunaha, aham avyayaha, aham satchidanandaha, aham satyam jnanam anantam brahma. These are all words which reveal the oneness of the individual with the total, the intrinsic oneness in the form of consciousness. So here, Nididhyasanam means you see the meaning of the word and immediately you are the meaning of the word. So punah punaha shravanam, doing the listening again and again is what is going to help us understand the words. And then when I dwell upon the word, there is no I anymore. I just see the meaning of the word, that is the true self. So we saw all of this as the second part of Nididhyasanam, and this is called contemplation. So the second aspect, I am a contemplative person. I contemplate. And there are rules for this as well. There are certain rules for contemplation. There are certain ways to contemplate. And the mind has to be mainly to make the mind available for dwelling on the subject. And chapter 6 talks about, how to sit. Chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita, beautifully Krishna mentions the eye position, how you should have your eyes, what seat you should be sitting on. He even goes to the length of saying that the sheet should be on, particular animal skin, because in those days they used to sit on actually tiger skin. If you see many of the pictures of the rishis, they'll be sitting on. Of course, the animal was already dead, okay? So there's no killing of animals to get the skin here. It was dead animal skin because there are certain magnetic energies that come from the earth. It is all scientific, actually. They also affect our meditations. So there is a special asana called this dhruva grass. They used to put this grass as well and sit on a specific seat. And Krishna talks about that elaborately. So all of that, there's kind of rules also when you sit for meditation, Nididhyasanam. Very interesting. If you see 6th chapter of the Gita about that. And these are the ways of bringing the mind to a certain composure so it can dwell for a length of time. So Shastra also talks about, the students who are ready for this type of contemplation. So adhikari, there are 3 types of adhikaris. There are 3 types of students. One is an adhikari. Adhikari is a qualified student. Qualified student means not with the PhD and bachelors and masters, not that type of qualification. This is the one with the qualifications of mind that are required. Then the second type of student is anadhikari, the opposite, the one who doesn't have the qualifications, who goes to a Shastra class, listens to the words of Vedanta and leaves untouched by the words. That is called the one who is not ready. Untouched meaning unscathed, unaffected by words. It doesn't produce any impact in that person. That is called a person who is not prepared. Because if there's a level of preparation, Vedanta will definitely do something to your mind. So all of you sitting here are definitely at a level of preparation where Vedanta does shift certain thinking in your mind. But anadhikari is another person who doesn't, three types of students who do nididhyasana. You can do nididhyasana and not have qualifications. But that's what he's saying here, nothing happens. Then you can be one who is a partially qualified person. Most people fit into this. Partially qualified, meaning there is shraddha in the words. There is a commitment, pending understanding in the words of Vedanta. There is also mumukshutvam. There's a deep desire for liberation, to be free from this life of becoming. But this person doesn't have all the qualifications. He has some of them, but jnana phalam, or the results of knowledge, are not available for the person. So Vedanta Shravanam is done, but the samsara for this half adhikari still continues. They still have reactions. But the problem is now, because being a half adhikari, what is the problem? Before, there was the ignorance regarding reaction, meaning before becoming half qualified, I was very clear, world has the problem, everybody else is the problem, and my reactions, there's no, no problem with the way I react. That is called before being half qualified. Now I'm half qualified. What is it? I become more aware I'm reacting. Oh, I'm reacting. So the awareness that I'm reacting comes with half qualification, but I'm still not blessed fully with jnana phalam. So I don't have the full results of knowledge, but neither do I have relief from samsara, as well. So all of this, being half adhikari, it's very difficult because the past also surges forward. Half adhikari, for the half adhikaris, the past suppressed child surfaces for the half qualified ones. So actually the half qualified ones, the Shastra says, are the ones who are ripe for nididhyasanam. This is what it is. The ripeness for nididhyasanam is the people who have all these issues, because one has to remove the pratibandhas, the obstacle, by again practicing this dwelling upon the words. And wherever the mind goes with all the emotions, the emotional problems, it generally goes towards all the emotions. The mind has been brought back again and again to dwell on Atma, to see oneself as full, to see oneself as complete. So this is called a practice, Pratipaksha Bhavana. So Nididhyasanam, includes practice of this Pratipaksha Bhavana, which is removing the habitual habit, removing that habit. So actually we say viparita. There are two words, two phrases in Sanskrit. Viparita bhavana is constant re-identification with the body, mind, sense complex. That is one thing that's addressed. But pratipaksha bhavana is a deliberate practice to remove, all these unhealthy ways of thinking. You don't follow the mind. This is the key. Don't follow the mind. Do the opposite. Pratipaksha bhavana means not following what the mind always tells you. We become number one believers of our thinking, right? Nobody else knows what was going on in my head. But somehow I start believing everything that my mind is thinking. This is where the alert living comes in. You have to see. It is the mind thinking in this way. There is an order behind that mind, but I don't need to follow that mind. So if I'm very, very sucked in with this mind, then pray to Bhagavan. That is a very beautiful way of getting help. In helplessness, I pray to Ishvara, to the Lord, Bhagavan, for strength. That helps reverse the thinking process along with practice, if I'm able to do. So this is, part. Nididhyasanam has many aspects. We have only heard about the contemplation, but see how many different things that can be included within the Nididhyasanam process. So formal meditation also, Vidyaranya wants us here to be also in touch with Yoga Shastra. Many of you are yoga teachers. Yoga, Patanjali yoga system, Ashtanga yoga is very much connected to many of our texts as well, because this contains a lot of tools that can help one manage the body and the mind. So disciplines, we're not dealing with so much here because we know already we have done the disciplines to come to Nididhyasanam. Asanam is another thing. So yamas, niyamas, asanam. Asanas are the, what people take to be only yoga nowadays. But yoga actually is a lifestyle that has to be, brought in. But asanam here in this context could mean how you sit when you do the meditation or contemplation. So Krishna says, stira sukha asanam. The asana, or the way you sit, must be steady, not wobbling all the time. Swamiji used to joke, I always remember, you cannot sit doing Nididhyasanam on a bar stool. It's very high up. So you can't be very high up, you can't be very low down. It has to be a very comfortable position. Sukham, he says sukham. Sukham here means comfortable. So if you're comfortable on the sofa, if you're comfortable on the floor on a cushion, so each one has their levels of comfort. But this is what, important. The meditator has to use the free will consciously. This is the first step in going deeper. Using the free will consciously means, and this is interesting to see, this is what we did in meditation, you have to see the absence of free will first. To use your free will consciously, you first have to recognize yourself absent of free will. And how do we do that? That is our initial practice. A lot of practice of the basic person has to be done. That meditation that we did, if you remember, that is to discover myself absent of free will. Sound, you hear sound, you dwell on the sound. What do you recognize? Sound is heard. Sound happens. I don't will for the sound to happen. Free will is put to one side and you allow the sound to just be heard. Like this, I find myself more and more without the strain of using the free will. The first practice is lose the strain in meditation of using the free will for anything. That is called just being. You are just a simple conscious being without any demand from your body, mind, senses, or from the external world. Simple conscious being. So this is, when you're free from free will, you can enjoy yourself. So even discovering that conscious being, free of free will, you enjoy yourself. And then you can use the free will consciously to take the mind wherever you want it. So first see yourself as a conscious being free of the free will, then use the free will to take the mind wherever you want to go in meditation. So in meditation, we'll see what the definition is. Again, we'll see that. And then pranayama, we've seen this part of Ashtanga is withdrawing the mind, from all objects. That's pratyahara. Pranayama is controlling of the breath, mastering your breath. And pratyahara is to withdraw all things, the mind, from sense objects, even internal objects. Sometimes outside, my mind is withdrawn from outside objects, but what happens? Inside, I'm dwelling on them. I'm still contemplating on my dream home or my dream partner or some dream thing. It's funny, they call it in English, you call it dream something, because it is a dream. It is all in the head. So this pratyahara is to withdraw the mind from every type of sense objects reigning in the senses. So here is where we're interested. Now we're coming into more depth. Dharana. Dharana is fixing the mind on a particular object, fixing the mind. So dharana is the object of meditation. And you can take anything. You can take, a Saguna Brahma. You can take a form of Ishvara. You can take even a lamp, a flame of a lamp. I said you can, but you fix the mind. And Dhyanam, the next in Patanjali Yoga system, Dhyanam is when you retain the object of knowledge for a length of time, but the mind, what does it do? When it wanders, you bring the mind back to retain on that one object. When the mind goes this way, bring it back. In fact, that is the definition of meditation given in the Gita. As I said, when the mind goes out, bring it back. When the mind goes out, bring it back. That is dhyanam. And finally, samadhi, he mentions. Samadhi is effortless abidance. So only the meditated is there in samadhi, meaning there is no meditator, there is no meditation, there is only object of meditation. It sounds strange, but that alone is there in samadhi because there is no vritti, there are no thoughts there. So there is nothing, no meditator to relate to the meditated. So dhyanam, when we say dhyanam, the meditator, the meditated, and the meditation is there in dhyanam. When we use the word dhyanam, meditation, all three are retained. The one who meditates, the meditating, the meditation process, and the meditated object. In meditation, all three are retained. In samadhi, the meditator and the act of meditation resolve. Only the meditated remains in samadhi. So only the object of meditation shines in samadhi. And that is called absorption in the object of meditation. That is, I lose myself. You can see it like that. In samadhi, only the object of contemplation is there. I lose myself in the object. So there is no I anymore. The object alone is there. And this samadhi, abhyasa, it is known by Patanjali, practice of samadhi is also a form of nididhyasanam. That's why we're coming to that. So we call it a form of nididhyasanam. But again, nididhyasanam has to lead to jnana nishta, jnana palam. So in nididhyasanam, we have to understand we are dwelling on the, here we're dwelling on the names of Atma, the lakshanas, the defining words of Atma. So this is where I absorb myself in the meaning of Atma. I lose myself. If I say timeless, for instance, nitya, I take one word, nitya, timeless. What happens? I lose myself in timelessness. The I, as soon as I close my eyes, I understand nitya means timeless. And you see, the mind immediately, the I absorbs in no time, timelessness. In that moment, there is no past, there is no present, there is no future. That is called timeless. So this is how nididhyasanam as a practice is done. And it is, again, to remove all the wrong notions about the Atma. Because what is it? Atma is taken to be what? Time bound at the moment. It's taken to be the opposite of those words. That's why I take Atma to be time bound, because I think I'm mortal. So I think I have a birth date and I have a death date. I have a date of entry, I have a date of expiry. This is a notion that we all carry. But when I say nitya, immediately I see no date of entry, no date of expiry for timeless truth. That is myself. Aham nityaha. So this is how I take these words. Aham asangaha. I'm uninvolved. Beautiful word. Uninvolved means I'm unaffected by anything. Take that word, asangaha. See that you are like that light in the room that is untouched by anything happening within the light. And more, nididhyasanam is practiced, claiming your swarupa. Nididhyasanam, another way of seeing, is claiming your swarupa. You are already that. That is the vision of Vedānta. Everybody is already that. It is claiming, the time for claiming what you already are. That is called nididhyasanam. So now he goes on with this. He says in the 54th verse, I don't think we chanted the prayer verses. We'll just chant that, then we'll do the 54th verse. Yeah. Natva Shri Bharati Tirtha Vidyaranya Munishwaro Adhimahe Pañcadāśīṃ Kaivalya Pada Siddhaye Namah Shri Shankarananda Guru Padam Bhujanmane Savilasa Mahamoha Grahagrasaika Karmane Tabhyam Nirvichikitserthe Chetasasthapitasya Yat Ekatanatvametadhi Nididhyasanamuchyate. So he says here, when by those two, listening and reasoning, so Shravanam and Mananam, Tabhyam means when by those two, the meaning is made doubt-free, nirvichikitsite arte, nirvichikitse arte. The mind's steady, single thread continuity on that truth. So the mind is singly abiding in that truth. Chetasaha stapitasya yet ekatana tvam. So you can imagine like the light beam being focused through a magnifying glass. It can burn through hay, it can burn through everything, that type of focus. This indeed is called nididhyasanam. Etadhi nididhyasanam uchyate. So tabhyam, as I said, refers to Shravanam and Mananam. Arte means object of meditation. Vichikitsa here the word is nirvichikitsa. Vichikitsa, very lovely word for doubt. It means doubt. Nirvichikitsa means beyond doubts. So the mind is now come to a stage where it is beyond doubts. It doesn't question what is being said. It is fully absorbed in the Vedantic vision. It has been purified to the level where it grasps the vision, but it is now making the vision its own. This is the time. So mind is now fixed on Atma, on consciousness, Brahman, and the understanding has become free of doubt. And what happens? It abides in it's like a steady flow abiding in the Atma Vishaya continuously. So that's why it's compared to Nirvikalpa Samadhi. But in Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a type of Nididhyasanam. Here it abides in Atma Vishaya. Nirvikalpa Samadhi, it is, as far as I know, Atma Vishaya is not unfolded in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. It just abides, they say. Awareness is only. But here, Atma Vishaya means the self. It abides in the self. It is like a flow. There's a beautiful verse in Upadesha Saram. Ramana Maharishi says, what is that? Ajyadharaya shrota sasamam sarala chintanam viralataf param. Ajyadharaya, like ghee, I don't know, the ghee that you find here in the West is quite thick. In India, you see this, when they pour the ghee, when you melt that ghee and you pour it into the fire, it is like kind of a thick thing and you can see it flows. Or oil, we can even say any oil. When you pour one glass of oil into another glass or into an empty glass, how do you see that flow? It is unbroken, beautiful flow. Like that, Ramana says the mind goes to the Atma like that flow. It just resolves in Atma. So beautiful, the example. It just goes to Atma flowing and nothing can stop it. This is what he's saying here. This Nididhyasanam, the stage of contemplation, is unbroken. There is no disturbance. No vritti other than this. It's like one thought form flowing to itself, flowing to the source of itself. And what happens in this, in this flow? he says here in the, this verse, Dhyatra dhyane parityajya kramadhyeka gocharam nivata dipa vachittam samadhir abhidiyate. When the sense of I am the meditator and the act of meditating are set aside, Dhyatra dhyane parityajya, he says. When the sense of I am the meditator and the act of meditation itself are set aside, then what happens? He says, gradually the mind keeps only one thing, the chosen object of contemplation. Kramadhyaya eka gocharam. And what happens? We saw in, in the 6th chapter, the mind becomes steady like a lamp in a windless place. Nivata dipavat chittam. This is called samadhi. This is called samadhi. So here, samadhi is defined. There, Nididhyasanam on Atma Vishaya, 55th verse, samadhi is defined. So there are degrees of accomplishment when it comes to, broadly I will call it meditation. There are degrees of accomplishment. Otherwise, there won't be any difference between dharana, dhyana and samadhi. We have this in Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Dharana, fixing the mind. Dhyana, meditation. Samadhi, what we're just seeing now. These are the 3 words. So there is a difference, a gradation of absorption that is talked about in the text. Samadhi is effortless. Its focus is, it's so intense. It is effortless. It's like learning to ride a bike, So if, in learning to ride a bike, when we start, dharana means I'm looking straight ahead and I fixed on the road ahead. I'm learning to ride and I'm fixed on the path ahead, and then I start cycling. Dhyana is like, after repeated falling, I am more relaxed. Dhyana is the repeated falling, mind going out, bringing it back. So I'm learning to ride, but I repeatedly fall, I come back. I repeatedly fall, I come back. But then now I'm holding on to the handlebars and cycling quite smoothly in dhyana. There is some progress in dhyana. So the dharana is fixing your, sight. Dhyana is falling off and learning to ride and going smoothly, hold the handlebars. You start going after falling, coming back up. Samadhi is what? You take your hands off the handlebars and you cycle without having to hold the handlebars. That is called samadhi. So this is this is how the levels of absorption of the mind go. First, the focus is there. Then the slow progress happens in dhyanam. Keep bringing the mind back. The person falls off the bike, gets up, falls down, gets up, falls down. Then it starts going a little bit more. Then samadhi, you take your hands off totally and you can just cycle. The bike goes without you even doing anything. And how do people get to the stage of samadhi? Again, one word, one key word for everything in life, for not just meditation, for anything you want to do, one key word is abhyasa, practice, 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 practice. So these are the, as I said, I was telling you all, I used to have the sign, moksha, today moksha. When you get up in the morning, see that moksha, freedom from becoming is what we want. Every day we're going after moksha. Another sign you can have is abhyasa, practice, practice. So there are things that become perfect through practice, abhyasa alone. We cannot get to the highest degree of samadhi without practice. In fact, it's very difficult to even get to samadhi stage. It requires a lot. And you get to that stage of absorption, discovering the joy in what you're doing. If there's no joy in what we're doing, there's no point in doing it, really. There should be a joy, a happiness. The process itself becomes a wonderful, joyous experience for everybody. So this is why abhyasa is, effort is put in. And parityaja, he says, giving up, totally dropping, parityaja. What goes first? The dhyata, the meditator first is dropped. In the beginning, initial stages, I am very sure I am meditating, right? When you go into meditation or you sit, I am meditating. Here we're not talking about guided meditations. Guided comes pre this, actually. In the Gurukulas, what they do is they do 1 year of guided, then they suddenly let you by yourself. So guided doesn't last forever. It is only for a certain period of time. Then suddenly you are left to do all of this, these practices. And in the beginning, the meditator remains. The meditator, the one who's doing the meditation, is there. But what happens when you become deeper and deeper absorbed in the object, meditator, you don't realize who is meditating. That meditator itself resolves. That's what he's saying here. And you become that is called contemplation. Contemplation also goes because meditator is gone. And eka gocharam, he says, that alone remains. What alone? Just the object of your meditation. That alone. The process goes, you go, only the object remains. Nivata Dipavat, he says, like a lamp that doesn't move. All there is the flame. You can imagine within you, all there is a flame and there is nothing else. So the flame shines without disturbance. And this is the culmination. The samadhi is the culmination of nididhyasanam. This is, understanding. And this idea is meant to be brought, the nididhyasanam, even open-eyed. Eventually, once I discovered that self and the absorption has happened, once the eyes are opened, samadhi is my experience here with the Vyavaharika Jagat as well. Open-eyed samadhi I can have here. That is the beauty of Vedanta. The teachings, it is first of all absorbing. You go within, they say. Why did they say go within? This is what go within is. You have to go within to understand there is no within and without. It's in the beginning, there is a within and without. Unless I go within and discover this swarupa, this nature that I am, then there will always be within and without. But once I discover that, I see that there is no inside, outside, there is only one thing. And when I keep my eyes open, I see that one thing as well. So for a while, we have to go, with anything like energetically, you can imagine, all the energies are brought to a point inside you. Then suddenly it blooms, it's like a cocoon. You go into your cocoon, like the caterpillar. That caterpillar, beautiful how it weaves its cocoon around itself. And you go into that cocoon like the caterpillar, and you're there for a length of time, right? And you are there for a length of time. Nobody knows really how the transformation happens. Suddenly you come out, it's a butterfly. Amazing how that miracle happens. And this is exactly like nididhyasanam. We go to that depth, contemplate, understand, like Ramana Maharishi says, like ghee. Always remember, mind should be like ghee, flowing, 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 not solid ghee. It should be melted ghee, flowing, and flowing to the object of meditation. Then suddenly when I come out, butterfly, everything, the whole thing transforms. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.